Welcome to Relatable Situations. I'm your host, Juan, and I have my co-host, Bree. Say, hey, Bree. As usual, hey, y'all. All right, so we are back with yet another episode, and this one, let's see, where do I even begin? First, before I get there, for those who have been watching the show, listening to the show, I want to thank you so much. I want to encourage those who have not to please participate. We have really been doing really well with the YouTube videos. I'm going to thank my co-host for that. She's a lot better visually than I am.
Cut it out.
Better looking anyway.
It's the drip factor happening on that.
Okay, we won't go there. And I can only imagine how folks are going to perceive that drip that you're talking about, because it sounds terrible.
He doesn't have any health issues.
Exactly. It sounds horrible. But anyway.
See episode 2.
Okay. So what I was going to say is, if you like our shenanigans and antics, please join in with subscribing on YouTube, following me on Instagram, emailing, carrier pigeon, whatever you want to do to let me know that you have.
He meant commenting, interacting.
Yes, share.
If you have a carrier pigeon, probably not the audience.
Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's get into today's episode. And full disclosure, Bree has not been privy to what this topic is going to be about outside of the name. So let's go ahead and go into the name first. The name of this episode is All of Me. Let's stop there for a second and take that. Let's drink that in, Bree. So when I say
cut the camera.
So when I say all of me, I am not referring to that, Bree. Not at all.
Please explain.
Let me get myself together, y'all. Okay, so what brought this episode on was I was watching a TV show, actually, and I'm not going to name the show because Bree gave me the business when I told her that I watched this show. But let's just
Wait a minute.
Let's just say that the show has a lot of drama, okay? But anyway, the topic is still valid and it's valuable. And what All of Me is pertaining to is, if we are in a situation where we're thinking about going to the next level with someone in a relationship, do you accept all that they bring to the table? All. And what I mean when I say all, and that's why it's entitled All of Me, Bree. What I mean when I say all, in the situation on the show, the gentleman had been incarcerated. And and he had a substantial repayment that he had to make to the state, in excess of $100,000, almost $150,000. The young lady that he was dating was very, very adamant that she wanted to get married as soon as possible. However, when it came to the aspect of this repayment that he had to make, all of a sudden she's like, well, that's yours. That has nothing to do with me. So I don't feel the need that I should take on that burden. And it made me think. I'm like, wait a minute, sis, hold on. So you want to have everything that this guy brings to the table, except, and it made me think, okay, so that's valid in terms of the subject matter, because a lot of people, I think, feel that way. They want to take all of the things that could potentially benefit them, but they want to leave certain things that they don't particularly like on the table. Kind of like, and I was talking to my wife about this, and she didn't know what it was, but Brie, you know what a smorgasbord is.
Just a whole range.
Yes, a buffet. So at a buffet, you know, you can pick and choose what you want. You know, I want this, these spare ribs, but I don't want this succotash. I don't really like succotash. Well, first of all, I like saying succotash. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, it's not a smorgasbord. If you're entering into a relationship with someone and you're wanting to come to a point where y'all come together with your relationship in the form of a marriage, it's all of it. It's not part of it. It's not taking bits and pieces. You can't, on one hand, say, you know what, I love the fact that, he's tall and he's good looking and he has a lot of money, but I don't like the fact that he has these bills that he owes to the IRS. What are your feelings on that, Bree?
When you say all of me and it comes to bills or maybe health concerns and things that you address at the forefront of the relationship, you knew this going into it. You knew it was there. You knew it's something that you would have to potentially deal with, especially if marriage is on the plate. But then when you talk about all of me in the sense that, like, hey, I have other women and you got to accept, no, I don't. So I guess there's a line between
So hold on
what
now.
all of
Hold
me
on.
means, because in the society that we live in today, where you pick and choose what you post to the, to the world, or the highlight reel, so to
Yeah.
speak, people get to pick and choose all the time. So in their mind, what's different? Why can't I have
Okay.
the good that I
I'm so
want
glad
and
you
not the
went there
bad?
with it. So first off, let's back up. I'm not talking a dysfunctional relationship that has the potential to end very quickly, where you're doing things that are particularly hurtful to the relationship. I'm talking about we're on the same page. We love each other. We're monogamous, all of that. However, I have, as you mentioned, this situation going on health-wise, whatever the case may be, where if we get into this next level of our relationship, that's going to come along with it. So when you say, why are they not able to pick and choose? It's because when you're coming together in a relationship, you're bringing the good and the bad. So, for example, you can't say, well, you're a millionaire, so I want you to share those millions with me. But then on the other hand, say, but I don't want to have to deal with the alimony that you pay your ex-wife. That's part of it. That's all part of it. So to your point, yeah, it has to be discussed prior to, but it's not it's not a smorgasbord. You can't pick and choose. Well, I'm sorry. I guess you technically can try to pick and choose, but in my opinion, you're setting that relationship up for failure, because that's going to be now the crux of every argument that y'all had. Go ahead.
I think to do some things if that is something that you guys have a conversation about, there are things you can put into place to protect
Mm-hmm.
you if the marriage goes
Mm-hmm.
awry. So then you're just not all of a sudden automatically bound after 1 year of marriage and it doesn't work out. Now you still have this thing. There are measures that you could put into place, but it's a conversation.
Right. It is a
And
conversation.
if the other person is willing to accept your terms on marriage and what you want to do to protect you, because you did have something, going on, same with health issues. If I have an underlying condition or a circumstance that could end up meaning that you have to take care of
Mm-hmm.
me permanently, then we need to have something in place so that I alleviate some of that burden for you.
Okay.
Because I know that that's not something that you want to do.
Okay. So how does that work with kids?
For
In other words,
stepkids?
yeah, in other words, you had children before we got to this level. I'm now accepting you as my spouse, whether it be male or female. Do those kids come along with that package?
Yeah. What?
Okay, well, hold on. And there's a
What?
reason why that's important, because a lot of people don't take that into excuse me. They don't take that into context. They don't think about the aspect.
If you're not accepting my kid, there's no relationship.
Well, no.
I mean, that's
No,
me.
of course. And I agree with that. But I guess what I'm saying is the idea, all right, when you're coming together in a marriage, you're basically trying to take two and come into one. Heaven forbid you were to become, as you said, ill, or go even further, pass away. What about the kids? So that's why I say there should not be a line drawn in terms of what you will or won't accept. If I'm accepting you as my spouse, and in this case you have kids, guess what? I'm accepting those kids holistically. I'm accepting the responsibility for them holistically, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us, and we don't know what could potentially happen. So if I'm now your husband, also their stepdad, or what have you, my responsibility is to provide for them in the same way that you would, or to the best of my ability. It can't be a situation where, those are your kids. Those aren't necessarily our kids. And trust me, I've heard of situations like that personally, where people have tried to carry it that way. And that's what made me lead into this topic when I saw that show. Like, wait a minute, sis, you're all on board with wanting to marry this man, but you want to try to pick and choose the stuff that he brings to the table. And that to me is a problem. To me, you are now dooming your relationship to failure, because that thing that you don't like is going to continue to resurface on a regular basis. And it has the potential to erode the relationship. That's why I thought that this was very, very important to discuss. And I think that those who, are entering into relationships, as you said, need to, as we always talk about, communicate. You need to talk about scenarios like what I just mentioned. For example, okay, here's your favorite. Okay, Mike, I got 3 kids. All right. I know that I'm not planning to pass away, but what would happen if you and I got married and 6 months later I get deathly ill? Or bringing it closer to home, COVID. I got COVID, and now all of a sudden they're talking about I don't have long to live. How's that going to work out? Are you ready for that responsibility? Are you ready for the responsibility of being responsible for my 3 kids? Because if you're not, then we need to reevaluate what it is that we're doing here. We need to take a look at what we're about ready to embark into, because getting married is not just about the wonderful party that you're going to have after you say I do. It is all the stuff after that. Having been now in my second marriage and prayerfully my final marriage, I learned a lot in regards to understanding that 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 the wedding, and then the ceremony, and the reception afterwards is just that happens very quickly. The real work comes in after the fact, which you also know, Bree. It comes in after the fact. In other words, that's the real part of the marriage. The rest of it is just a party. Everything from picking out your tuxedo with your boys and all other stuff. You have to understand that what that person brings to that relationship, you're going to have to deal with, if that's your intention of having a harmonious long-term relationship, i.e. marriage. What are your thoughts, Brie?
Yeah, you're gonna have to deal with it, but those come through conversation. So you'll figure out the best resolution for your situation and what works for you. I mean, I know with the kids thing firsthand because I went into a marriage where he had 2 additional kids that were older than, the child that we brought into the world. And even in that situation, we're divorced, and those kids are still on my life insurance policy because they were my babies before I had a baby. I mean, it's not much, like 10% or something each, but I still want to make sure that they're good because I was a big part of their life at one point. So it's some give and take when it comes to those conversations. And if you can't come to a mutual understanding, then you probably shouldn't get
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the point that I was trying to get to. My point,
you're not going to like everything about everything.
right.
I mean, that is just unrealistic. So I get wanting to have all the good and the flowery moments and raindrops and gummy bears or whatever that looks like in your life. But there are going to be those tough conversations that you will butt heads. But how do you work through it is the biggest thing that gets you over the hurdle and keeps the relationship or marriage going. So have the conversation, figure out what it is that you're willing to bend on or what protection you're willing to put in place. So you don't have to own 100% of the responsibility of some financial burden, or if something happens, you have a life insurance policy, you have disability, something set up so everybody's going to be okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. You had mentioned earlier that, if it gets to a point where you can't come together with, some of these things that may not be to your liking, then maybe you shouldn't get married. What do you tell women who say, well, I wasn't there for that. In other words, that wasn't my fault. I didn't create that situation. In the instance that I gave you, the example that we were talking about, this man went to jail, and whatever crime he committed, it caused some money to be owed. And her feelings were that, look, I understand that he had these things going on, but I didn't do those things. So why am I now having to pay for that? How do you respond to that?
That's how she feels. That's a I don't have a say in that. That is between her and her future spouse. If they can come to an agreement and work it out, okay, well, I will sign off whatever paperwork I need to, or I will ensure that this restitution is paid out of my. That's between them. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know. I've never been put in that situation to say, sorry, this isn't for me and walk away, because that's not the easiest thing to do either once you're headed to the route of marriage. I really don't know.
So I do have a feeling. I do have a feeling and an opinion on that. If what you're saying is, and I'm not talking about you, but if what the person is saying is that she's not willing to take on those things that she doesn't like, then she's not willing to be married.
No, because you have to dig deeper. Why are you not willing? Not because you're selfish, but does she have kids outside of this? Has something happened? Like, what are the other layers of why she's not willing to do that?
So
sometimes it's not just being selfish.
Well, I didn't bring up the selfishness, but
no. I'm just
okay. So let's say that we get to the why, because you're right. I'm a big proponent of why. Why is important in almost every conversation, but the why is not going to negate or change the facts. The facts are the facts. If you're choosing to marry me, then this is a part of me. The fact that I now have a record, the fact that I've been to jail, that's a part of me. That means that certain rights that others are entitled to, I won't have access to. That means in regards to jobs, it's going to be a bit more difficult for me to find jobs. All that comes into it. So my feelings of that is, I do have an opinion, and I would give this person some advice. If you're if you're unwilling to take on all that this person brings to the table, and again, this is based upon you looking at it in a positive way. You looking at someone who's trying to be in a monogamous, regular relationship, not someone who says, "Well, look, I got like 3 or 4 girls on the side. You got to deal with that." No, that's crazy. I'm not. I think we're both on the same page and understanding that that's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about some of the burdens that the other person has that they bring to the table. And not that a child is a burden, although financially it can be. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still finances. But if you're saying that you want to marry someone, you can't pick and choose what part of that person you want to marry. You got to marry all of it. All of it.
Yeah, but you don't have to like it.
But this wasn't about.
If you choose to go down the aisle and say, okay, I do, and you ignored the pieces that you didn't like and didn't have a conversation as to how you're going to solve or get over this hump, then those are some bumps you're going to have to iron out through the marriage.
Right.
But just because I'm marrying all of somebody doesn't mean I have to like every single part of what they bring.
Well, I didn't say that. This wasn't about liking it. This is accepting it. So I didn't say you have to like all of the parts of this person. No, you have to accept all of the parts of the person. That's why I entitled it "All of Me." You have to accept what this person brings to the table. I guess looking at it from a different perspective, if this person was, again, a millionaire, you'd have no problem taking that part of it because that could potentially benefit you. But now that this person maybe is not as financially well off, then now you may have a problem. In other words, your bills are your bills. Those aren't my bills. My bills are mine and yours are yours. So then how are we going to come together harmoniously in our marriage if we are separated to that degree?
I feel in that certain situation, if I were to put myself in that person's shoes, I would have already accepted the fact that you've been to jail. I would have accepted the fact that your job opportunities are going to be different. I would have accepted the fact that life is a little different from your perspective with this on your record. But having something that you did and need to pay restitution, I might not want to accept that. Paying that responsibility, I might say, this is still on you. I accept everything else, but this right here is your lesson that you needed to learn. I will help you through it as far as, getting your resume done or putting you up for different jobs, help you get something that you're passionate about so you can pay it off. But that doesn't mean that I have to accept the fact that I'm going to now be responsible for this amount of money.
Okay. I think you and I, I'm pretty sure we see that differently. Definitely see that differently. Only because of.
But you still accept me, though, right?
That was really silly. That was really corny and silly. And of course, I accept you, but I accept you even though we disagree. In other words, we disagree on that point, and I still accept your point of view.
Wait a minute. So that situation, they can disagree, but still accept.
Well, no. Because what you just said, what you just pointed out to me was that, that's your thing. I will help you with your resume. I will help you with job prep.
I will help you find ways to pay this off. But I don't think that...
That's our bill. In other words, that's not our bill. That's your bill, is what you're saying.
And like I said, I don't know how I would feel, but I am leaning towards the side of this is something that you got in trouble for. I've accepted everything, but yes, I think you should pay. You should want to.
Oh, I definitely want to. Okay, so you know what? Let's do a quick role play. I definitely want to take care of that, because without that, I'm not going to, my money's always going to be garnished. I'm always going to have problems, getting credit and everything else because I have this bill. But I thought that when you decided to marry me, and again, we're role playing here, I thought that when you decided to marry me, that you're accepting all of me. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. Go ahead.
Darling, I do accept all of you. I love you from the rooter to the teacher. However, I do think that you did something, you wronged something.
Yes.
So you definitely need to earn the money and pay it
Okay.
back. I will be there to support you as a wife. I will be there to even take some of the responsibilities from the household on while you work through this. But I am not paying for that.
Okay. So...
Are we ending scene?
No. We're still in it. We're still in it. Keep the voice, all of that. All right. You make me laugh so much. Okay, so...
And this is why I'm single.
Stop it. No. All right. So this is about ready to go a little bit deep. You ready?
No?
Okay, too late. All right. So, I didn't create those kids with you. That was this other dude who, has a whole lot more finances than I do. So I don't feel that I should have to use my finances to pay for things that they need. That should be between you and that man.
All right, darling, we have two options here. We're going to go to couples therapy to work this out prior to marriage to really figure out what it is, because now you're being petty.
No.
This tit for tat.
Actually.
No, listen, darling. This tit for tat, I'm not going to go back and forth and do with you, so we can work it out in counseling, or maybe it isn't the best idea to get married.
Okay. So, as you know, I love the Cockney accent. I love it. But my point, dear, is that when I decided to merge my life with yours, I did so, and I thought we were doing so in a holistic manner. Everything that you bring to the table is going to align or at least merge with everything that I bring to the table. Not only the positive stuff, not only the fact that I have this wonderful house in Malibu, not only that I have this beautiful car.
Hold on, how do you have this house in Malibu when you have this debt? We're going to sell the house, you're going to pay this off, and we don't even need to have the conversation.
Yes, we do, because we're role playing, all right?
What are we doing? This is shenanigans and hijinks.
My point is, you know where I'm going, Miss Bree.
And this is why I'm here to help you manage your finances. because that doesn't even make any sense.
Okay.
You're talking about all these luxury things that you have, all this debt. So who are you trying to really impress?
Isn't her accent great,
My
y'all?
children are good.
So I thought that when we were coming together in matrimony, that is with the good and the bad, and maybe this is just an old school thought that has gone by the wayside. But that does not mean, in my mind, that we start separating things of what we do and don't like. And I promise you, I wasn't being petty. I was literally talking about the actual situation as it is. In the same way that you're not comfortable taking on my financial responsibility, it may be a situation where I'm not comfortable taking on the responsibility of your children that you and I didn't conceive together.
All right, so that's a deeper problem, because what I heard from you is this financial responsibility actually can go away. You can pay it off, you can get rid of it, right? My kids are not going away. So now you've brought up something that is never going to go away. So now I'm going to always think in the back of my head, well, I have kids and he's not going to want to take care of them.
Because what I said was the financial responsibility for your children. And that most likely will go away. They're not going to always be 6, 7, 10 years old.
So let's do this. When my kids are 18 and grown and out the house, and when your debt is paid off, call me.
Oh, wow. That turned sideways quickly. Oh, my God. So no. I think
they're going to get married and they're going to fight about it their whole entire marriage. Let's be clear. That's probably what's going to happen.
I'm thinking the same thing. So that's why
they're not going to have those tough conversations.
So that's why I say, before you decide that you're going to take the step of matrimony, and that was a very fun exercise. Really enjoyed that. But I think that you have to be willing to accept all of me. You have to be willing to accept the good and the bad. As you said, you may not like it, but this is not necessarily about a like thing. Everything that you know or accept from a person is not necessarily everything that you like. For example, in my being petty video, I talk about some of the crazy things that I ask my wife to do in terms of when I get my pancakes, I like them with the crispy edges around the edges. And
that ain't what you said in the video.
Okay, well, you
want your bread.
You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there's certain things that come along with dealing with woman. And she chose to take all of it. Now, does she like it? No. Certain things she doesn't like. She doesn't like, having to give me my beans with sugar or my grits with sugar. And yeah, I said grits with sugar. Whoever has a problem with that, all right? That's right, Bray. You too. But she knows that that's what I like, and she does at this point. I think she still does. She likes me enough that, okay, this is not something that I want to enjoy, but he enjoys that. So let me go ahead and give it to him the way that he likes it. So tying that back into the situation that
I think that those are more minuscule things. You brought up some pretty heavy issues when it comes to kids and $100,000 in debt. Those are deeper conversations. You like sugar and grits. All right. Pack of sugar is $2.69 at the store. That ain't going to set me back now.
Okay, so.
But the deeper conversations, there's going to have to be some give and take in that in order to come up with a solution before you walk down that aisle.
Well, I think the conversation definitely needs to take place before you walk down the aisle. But I think the conversation needs to be geared towards, are we going to look at this as an all of me thing, or are we going to separate certain things out of, our coming together? Because if that's the case, then we need to make that clear and, kind of act accordingly, because if not, we're going to have problems as we continue down our, matrimonial path. I think for me anyway, if I'm choosing to share myself with someone, I'm sharing all of me, and I'm expecting them to share all of them, the kids, the debt, all of that, because I knew that, as you said, going into it. It's not like it's a surprise, no, I knew what to expect. So when I say I do, I'm saying I do to all that stuff. And I'll give you one last point, and then we're going to close it out. So what do you got?
I don't have any other points. I think it's like you always close out the session. Communicate.
Communicate. Yeah.
Have these deep conversations and not these surface level, oh my God, you're so cute. You're cute too. Talk about it.
Yes, I agree. I think the sun is setting. It's starting to change my video, so it's time for us to close out. With that being said, please, y'all, give us your feedback. Me and Bree kind of went a little intense into this thing. We talked about our differences and how we saw it. Give us some feedback on what you think. I mean, is Bree right? Am I right? Are we both wrong?
We're okay. Calm down. It's not a right and wrong. It's a
well, I'm very calm, but I do think that people have different opinions. So I just want to get.
And when he edits the video, he's gonna put.
I am not. I promise you, I will not edit this out. I promise, because I want this.
I'm okay with being wrong.
Oh no. So am I.
Like everyone is different.
No, I'm with you. Yes, so am I. No. When I say wrong, I don't mean, because I'm going to have my opinion whether you agree with me or not. But I'm just saying, do you? Okay, I said it a different way. Do you agree with Bree? Do you agree with me? Or are we both, off base? Either way, do me a favor, give us some comments, give us some feedback, and let us know how you feel. But most importantly, whether you choose to or you don't, do one thing for me, y'all. And what is that, Bree? Communicate, y'all.
I'm gonna get my life together.
I will keep you in.